I never thought that I would see a day where I would be rooting for a university above Donald J. Trump and his administration. But I don't recognize his administration right now. I don't recognize what's happening. I have a theory. I do. We were kicking around some theories earlier, me and the team, and we were going, how could Trump be such a free speech enthusiast and allowing these things to happen?
Hi everybody, welcome back to our channel. So we got an email from somebody and I'm going to read that real quick. So Samantha writes us and she says, hey ladies, what are your thoughts on the Candace Owens criticism of Trump? She thinks he's going against the First Amendment. I left a clip for you to watch. Okay, so we got the clip. Thanks for sending it, Samantha. I did hear about this, by the way. I did hear about this. I think I saw like a 30-second video of it. But yeah.
I didn't hear about it.
Right. So let's see what the clip says here.
I never thought that I would see a day where I would be rooting for a university above Donald J. Trump and his administration. But I don't recognize his administration right now. I don't recognize what's happening. I have a theory. I do. We were kicking around some theories earlier, me and the team, and we were going, how could Trump be such a free speech enthusiast and allowing these things to happen? Going after college universities, trying to suppress speech while pretending that you're not suppressing speech, while pretending that you're fighting DEI. It's so messy. It's so obvious. Everyone knows what you're doing. People who are still trying to grift, I suppose, are not willing to challenge you on this, which is ridiculous, because when you are out of office, we are going to have to live with these consequences. Our children are going to have to grow up in this America. Okay. So when you threaten our speech, it's not worth it so that we can have pom-poms and go hurrah for a couple of years, then go, okay, well, yeah, now it kind of stinks because, we're getting arrested for wrongthink.
I think Samantha wrote, because we went back a couple of times, but she was saying there's something to do with this anti-Semitic thing going on. I guess at colleges, they're saying that people are threatening Jewish people, I guess, in colleges, specifically Harvard. He's telling these colleges that have federal funding, he's telling them that you have to follow certain guidelines if you're going to be taking federal money. So the accusation is that there are people attacking or threatening some of the Jewish students on campus. And so Trump is, I guess, putting into the policy when it comes to federal funding that you cannot do that. And so what Candace is saying, and a lot of people are saying, specifically people who are pro-Palestine, they're saying that he shouldn't do that because you are not letting people from the Palestine people have their say, is what she's kind of like alluding to. And I guess just before we get to like a 4-minute video, before we get into it though, I would say just right off the bat, I don't think that Trump is messing up the First Amendment. I think everyone's clearly is able to have their freedom of speech. I think the problem is that when you are a school who's take federal funding, there are consequences that come with that. It's just like when someone is on welfare, you know, you're taking federal money, you're taking money. And so when you do that, people on welfare, women specifically, have to go and tell you, you have a man living in your house? Is anyone helping you? They have to know everything about your existence. If you don't follow the guidelines of the federal government, then you get your welfare taken away and you get put off the program. This is kind of like these same, not the exact same thing, but it's kind of like that. You don't just get to do whatever you want if we're funding Harvard.
Yeah. So, but I don't understand is it because they're speaking out, or is it because they're speaking out with violence?
What the news is saying is that they are violently attacking Jewish people. This is what the news is saying.
Attacking vocally or physically? That matters to me.
They said both, but this is like allegations. So I don't.
Verbally, I don't care what people say
because
I think that you should be able to say whatever you want. And that end, then Candace is right on that end.
Yeah.
If you should be able to say what it is you need to say.
Right.
Like I said, I've always said the Klan should be able to say what they want to say, because it's freedom of speech. You should be able to say that. If they get to say it, I get to say what I get to say. You get to say what you get to say. We all get to say. It is truly the land of the free then. But if you're now lynching or destroying property or physically violating people, then you don't have the right to do that.
Right. I agree. So if Trump is putting into, I think that I believe I saw some of the stuff that he was saying that he actually wrote word by word what they can policy wise,
Right.
what they can and cannot do, and because these Palestine
Harvard is a private owned.
So that's another problem.
That's a problem for me. Why is a Big Ten school, Ivy League type school, privately funded school taking money
from the government? I don't care how much. Just why?
And why do they care if it gets taken away?
Can't they just
such the big cheese that they privately own, only certain people can get in?
Right.
And, you know what I mean? Like, why are they getting money?
Yes, I agree.
From the government.
We're talking about Harvard right now. I think Columbia is also there's a few other schools, Columbia University, a few other schools that are kind of like a target of what they're calling Trump is targeting, and I think it's because they've had these massive protests at these colleges, and what's happened is that it's gotten increasingly violent in the sense of they're destroying stuff or things like that.
Yeah,
destroying property,
the
tagging
destroying
things.
of property.
Yeah,
look, freedom of speech. Like even with the burning of the charging stations and destroying like BLM did, destroy property. That's not, to me, that's not speech. That's just vandalism.
So, yeah,
you know what I mean. And if you're gonna take your speech, because I do think that thoughts and then vocals can lead into then something worse.
You're inciting.
You know what I mean? And this is why people like to control speech, because they think if you let people say what they want to say, you let the Klan say what they want to say, they'll then lynch you.
It's like, come on.
Because it's coming out, it's like, right, but we all have bad thoughts in our heads about things and we don't actually do them.
Right.
But I don't care if people say, I don't care what people have to say about Israel. I also don't care what Israel has to say about Palestine. I don't care what white people that are racist have something to say about blacks. I don't care how, I really don't care about that. You know what I mean? Like black people saying things, you should be able to say what you want. And in fact, I encourage it because I think that you get to know someone when you get to know their rhetoric.
Right.
Why would we want people to not say what they feel? On that end, I understand what she's saying.
Yeah,
on the other hand, if he's saying that, then she's
wrong.
right.
Yeah, then
that's wrong.
When you threaten our speech, it's not worth it so that we can have pom-poms and go hurrah for a couple of years, then go, okay, well, yeah, now it kind of stinks because, we're getting arrested for wrongthink. We got David Friedman. Yeah, arrest him. Arrest Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. Get him. I love it. Everyone can see what's happening left and right. Harvard received notice that they had to comply with the Trump administration's demands. Okay. And essentially telling them how they would have to change things on campus. And they're, again, the administration is trying to paint this as they're coming and fighting DEI on campus, and they're not doing that. I'm going to show you it so you can see it with your own eyes. Okay. On Monday, Harvard became the first university to openly defy the Trump administration as it demanded sweeping changes to limit activism on campus. Activism is like synonymous with campus, okay? The university frames the government's demands as a threat not only to the Ivy League school, but to the autonomy that the Supreme Court has long granted American universities. The university will not surrender its independence or relinquish its constitutional rights. That's what the university lawyers said on Monday. They continued, neither Harvard nor any other private university can allow itself to be taken over by the federal government. The federal government says it's freezing more than $2.2 billion in grants and $60 million in contracts to Harvard unless... Essentially, we are going to hold your funding unless you comply with these demands.
We're going to hold the funding. Okay, but again, this goes back to why is a private college being funded by the federal government in any way, shape, or form? I don't get. That's the part that's throwing me off. I think Harvard should stop crying about something. Just stop taking the funding altogether. You can do what the hell you want to do, but you still have to do things within the law. But if you're taking, look, there are consequences to things. If you're taking federal money, then you have to follow some guidelines. If that's the guidelines that they have, I have to look at the guidelines.
I mean, if it's constitutional, then he's wrong. Trump is wrong.
If he's going to,
you can't take away people's freedom of speech. Look, I don't like college campuses because I think they're just indoctrination camps to get people to be activists.
Yeah,
and and to
It
go out
works.
there and just run their mouth about things they haven't even experienced yet. Like
Yeah.
college students are young people who haven't experienced life yet, really. You know what I mean? To me, you need to live first. But I feel like that's what college does these days. That's what even high school does.
Right.
All they ever do is talk about how to resist all the time. And that's annoying.
Right.
But it is free speech. And if you go to the college and the college likes it and you like it, as long as to me you're not hurting people physically,
Yeah.
then I'm saying you should say what you want to say. We're
Examples.
also taking Candace Owens' point of view, and she's not going to show you everything.
Yeah.
She's going to show you what leans towards her
Right.
point of view. So I would have to see,
So hopefully,
like
yeah.
why Trump did that and what's
Yeah.
going on in its entirety, not just Candace Owens's
Right.
a little clip.
Essentially, we are going to hold your funding unless you comply with these demands. And I'm going to show you, because Harvard has released it, what they're asking them to do. First, I should tell you they've already complied with adopting the IRHA definition of anti-Semitism, which is ridiculous. But so how you have to read this is everywhere, and Skylar, if you don't mind making that a little bigger for me, everywhere that you see the word anti-Semitism, you have to ask yourself what the definition, the new definition of anti-Semitism is, because now we're at critique of Israel. So as they frame it down there as the discontinuation of DEI, which would be a good thing, saying that we want people to be merit-based and to let go of DEI-based policies, that would be a great thing because that is how the nation should run. They are actually asking them to reform programs that have egregious records of anti-Semitism or other biases, telling them to look at specific programs. Scroll down, Skylar, because I want to get to them essentially just framing this as them needing to take a look at who they're even allowing to come to Harvard on foreign visas and whether or not they disagree with Israel's policies. Like you have to adopt new policies about student groups or clubs that forbid or endorse certain activities. They're talking about student groups that did not get violent, but are opposed to Israel's agenda, which is totally fair because this country is not Israel.
There were groups that were getting violent, though.
Yeah, and that's the
Okay,
pro-Palestine people were getting like that, and then within that, Hamas.
Right.
So this is the bigger problem.
So
it's about anti-Semitism.
Yeah. So the thing is, it's like she's made the thing I don't like what she's saying here is it seems as though she's making it seem like Trump is getting rid of some free speech stuff for everybody.
Yeah.
Like he just blanketed it, which is why I said I have to know the whole reason, because Trump is a free speech person, and for him to do this, he would have done this because of safety reasons.
So when I looked into it, so when I looked a little more into this, I realized that it was about specifically the Palestine-Israel conflict. And the reason why is mostly because of that, I forgot his name. I'll put it up here, but you guys know the guy who they're trying to deport right now. He's part of a group on Columbia's campus that has what they're deeming as pro-Hamas rhetoric, and Hamas is a terrorist group, so we all can agree with that. And this guy is part of that group. When things start getting to the Hamas situation, those protests start getting violent. So I think that what he's doing is he's just saying, look, it is becoming increasingly serious with having people in our country that are already unvetted. So we already have that problem. And so having people in these colleges that are supporting a group that is a known throughout the country, throughout the world, a known terrorist organization, they can't have anybody who's in any way aligning themselves with a group like that. And so the people part of this group are saying that we're not pro-Hamas or whatever, but they kind of are, like a lot of their rhetoric is that.
Yeah.
And so I think what Trump administration is trying to do is to stop the fire before it happens. Because what you see is the moment someone starts a Palestine-Israel protest, it's going to turn violent. Have you seen these protests? They get kind of crazy. Especially on the Palestine end, it gets a little weird, right? And so I just think that I think that's what he's trying to do. I think he's just trying to stop that from going overboard.
Yeah, I'm with her free speech point.
Yeah.
But I also think that she needs to be honest about what's actually going on.
Yeah.
Because she started this off making it seem as though he was taking away their free speech or protest. Like they can't say anything. And then she goes on to then say, these are ones that aren't even being violent. So there is violence, Candace. You have to make sure that everyone knows that there is some violence. That's why this was inserted. And this is the reason why the controversy started. It's not just starting because a bunch of people had words.
Yeah.
It's starting because if there is violence on there, you know what I mean? Like, whenever the BLM riots happened, that was called peaceful protest, but we all know that wasn't peaceful.
Yes,
we all saw the burning of police departments. We saw the destruction of businesses. We saw that, and then the media, and they all just kept saying, "Oh, that's just peaceful protest. These are people just speaking their mind, and it's the First Amendment, and we should be able to do that." So I agree with her on one end, but I also think that she's got an issue with Jews.
Yeah, that's another thing.
And I get that because she came from the Daily Wire, and she had a problem with Ben Shapiro, who was very pro.
Rabbis have come against her.
You know what I mean? And rabbis have come against her. I get it. She's on her fills. About Israel. You know what I mean? And make no mistakes, America has backed Israel for a long time. Yeah. Okay, and from both parties.
And I have thoughts on that.
You know
too,
what I mean? On both parties. Yeah. So I get that what she's saying, but don't pretend like
this is not for
there's
a reason.
nothing.
Yeah.
Because you had a lot to say about the BLM riots and them saying that, and now when it comes to the Hamas doing things, because you maybe have a problem with Jews, you seem to be mad. Yeah. If you do not call it, like, destructive.
Right.
It's like you were fine when it was BLM, but then now because you don't really like Jews that much, you have a little issue with them, then you don't have any problem with kind of Palestine doing rhetoric, or not rhetoric, but violence towards Jews.
Yeah. So there should be people, so you should be able to, like she said, you should be able to criticize Jewish people.
Yeah.
As soon as she said the anti-Semitism thing, I knew that this is upsetting her, because it's less about her. This is my thoughts on this. Like, it's not like fact, but I can tell that this is more personal to her.
Yeah.
Because she's been having an issue with this whole Jewish stuff going on, right? Because she's called out, a lot of Jewish issues, that she has with them, and it looks to me like this is just more personal. Like she wants people to be able to criticize Jewish people openly, and you should be able to, and that's fine. But Trump is not telling people to just like haphazardly saying, no one can speak about this, and here's a list of things you can say and can't say. That would be an attack on freedom of speech. But I don't think this is. I think that we're in a weird time right now where we have to be super cautious with things, especially when it comes to, this Palestine, Israel situation. Because those protests, like, I don't think it's fair, like you were saying, like, Candace is wrong, like those protests on the Palestine part, some of those protesters on that end, have gotten very violent.
I just hope that her anger isn't misplaced on her own, like you said, like her own personal view. That's why she's trying to say that Trump is doing that. Candace Owens has like 3 million subscribers. Yeah. She's got a big audience, and she also has a little power,
right, and
persuasion. And if she's using her own personal with going back and forth with rabbis, and being, and going back, having her problem with the Daily Wire and Ben Shapiro, and then trying to interject it into I'm mad at Trump because he didn't do what I said, right, or what I think.
So it's Trump,
and she's trying to manipulate it in some sort of, he's trying to get rid of free speech. Well, you didn't say that though, Candace, when BLM was tearing up the neighborhoods and they kept calling that freedom of speech and peaceful protest. No, you called them out because that was right. Yeah. BLM did need to be called out like this, but you don't then get to turn it around, and then as soon as it's not Black people, it's now Jewish people you don't really care for, or something like that. But you are now, I wouldn't say she's pro Hamas. It's this that she's against this. Yeah. And now she's trying to use her own platform to stir up some sort of controversy she's having with the Jewish community. And that's my problem with this. This seems manipulative a bit. But if Trump is getting rid of free speech, then I don't like that. But I'm saying, even in her words right here, she was just like, this isn't even this isn't the people that are doing destruction, and the dangerous people. And I'm like, okay, so there is dangers, Candace. You didn't talk about that at all. You're just making it seem like everyone's peaceful protesting on both sides, but he just shut down.
Right.
I don't like that. That seems a little slanted.
Can't look. If you're on a student visa, you really are a guest in the country. I guess the thing is that the question really is that if you are a guest in the country, do you get all our constitutional rights? The answer is no. You don't get to vote and stuff like that, right? You're just there on a student visa.
The Constitution's for Americans.
Yeah. And so I feel like it's like you don't, if you come to our country and you start aligning yourself, starting organizations that are seemingly being a little bit like you're supporting a terrorist group, potentially. I'm talking about even potentially, supporting that end. We really, I have to say, like, this has to be like a no tolerance policy on anybody that's even alluding to supporting a group like that. Mm-hmm. And if you are aligning yourself with that type of a group, even if you're not making threats, it is concerning because
you're taking a risk.
Yeah, and a lot of and to me, I feel like that's for any country in the world would never let you tell me a country. You tell me you can go to, I don't know, North Korea, which is a rough one. You can go to North Korea, Russia, or wherever, and you can just go to the colleges there and just start your own little group, your own little group, and that group has possible ties to terrorist organizations.
You could use her own country.
Yeah.
Was she Muslim?
Yeah.
Right. So we couldn't go to Saudi Arabia or Afghanistan and then put up churches and start saying death to things, and they would cut you right out. And they should. You shouldn't be in someone's country making up your own rules and causing destruction. You can't do it in China. You can't do it here. Mm-hmm. If you go to Europe right now, you see what happens when you just let people go rogue in your country. I agree with the freedom of speech thing. I don't agree, though, with you bringing your own issues with the Jewish community and then trying to infiltrate it into a policy without actually telling exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And this is why people should never even take our opinion. You should do your own research, because YouTubers, mainstream media, you're only getting our opinion. You're not. We may miss something.
Yeah.
It may not even be nefarious. It could be that we just missed something. You guys send us stuff all the time where you say, "Oh, well, this is proof that this is what happened." But YouTubers also do it, where they have a personal problem or they don't like something, and
they want you to be on their side.
They give you a clip of only things that align with what they're saying. And so I just would invite anybody to, after you watch this, but to see what Trump actually did and why he did it. Don't just go take Candace Owens' point of view because she's got a lot of subscribers and she sounds passionate and right, because she's really convincing when she talks.
And the moment I hear that you have any kind of tie, I don't care what it is, tied to an organization that is a terrorist organization, I think that you should be deported. If you're not legal here, you should be deported from the country, get your visa taken away, and you have to leave. I also think that college campuses have to be very careful with being okay with pro-terrorist rhetoric. I think that you have to put it into it before it even starts. And this may be like what the administration is feeling like.
People who come to America and hate America, I don't know why you're here. You know what I mean? To start some. That's it. Why would you go to a country just to talk bad about it?
Yeah.
Rhetoric. It didn't matter who the president was. They were doing it when Biden was in office. They're doing it when Trump is in office. So if you were in a country, this one being ours, you know what I mean? And then all you have to say are bad things about the country, and you protest all the time against the country that you're getting visas from.
That's
alarming. You're getting our education here. You know what I mean? And then you burn our flag, and I'm thinking, why else are you here?
Which we've seen that in colleges too. We did a video. We've seen that where Palestine supporters are burning the American. We've seen that.
And if you're not
burning the American flag, and
you're not a full citizen, I don't think you should be here. Sorry.
They're all covered with their masks and stuff like that, and like we've seen how violent it can actually get. So I don't think that, and also I don't think that Trump, the administration, may have intelligence on the situation that we're not privy to. Right? So Candace, me, everybody, it's just not privy to. And maybe he's seen some real threats against Jewish people on campus, like real ones, like targeted threats. I think that she's having a problem with Jewish people.
Yeah, she has a slanted view.
Yeah, and I think that this is what we're seeing right here. She's very passionate about this because she's having an issue with the Jewish community right now.
I mean, look, sometimes Jewish people overdo everything's anti-Semitic. She's right about that.
Yeah.
I mean, they overdo that, but they do have the right to say it. Yeah. I didn't care what BLM was saying.
Yeah,
I care what they were doing.
Right.
They can say whatever they want to say. I think it's ridiculous, but they have the right to say it. I don't want any. I don't like Danielle didn't like a protest. I'm starting. I get it. I don't even really like it anymore.
I wish it was just illegal.
I mean? I just thought it was just. I just always just thought we always should be able to protest. Yeah. But yeah, protests are stupid. Most of the time, most people don't get much out of protests except for we destroy the country in the way of doing it. But I mean, January 6th. Where did that end? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Where all this we must fight for what?
For what?
Because it's all personal opinions. In this country, we all conservatives don't think alike.
She has
liberals don't either. You know what I mean? So, and there is somewhere in between, there are different people who think different things. You know what I mean? So that's why I don't really care for protests. I think it's kind of stupid. I think it just you put yourself in a position to be infiltrated by the feds, and you know what I mean, and to be made a fool of. And that's why I think you just need to change your life or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't, because Candace has such a weird. She has a weird relationship with the Jewish people and the Jewish community. Right. I don't really take everything she says on this as gospel because of that.
Not Israel. You are totally allowed to critique Israel. I mean, it's an absolute nonsense. It's telling them that these people need to be suspended, that they can't be allowed on campus. Again, making us think that Bibi Netanyahu must be the president of the United States and Trump has no idea what's going on. Here's a clue. If you want people who are feeling threatened on campus because of the response that people are having to feeling like their rights are being infringed upon, maybe don't infringe upon their rights to speech. This is not making it easier for their students on campus, I'm telling you, because this is making it seem like they get special consideration because these rules were not put into place to defend white people when BLM was going on. Okay, these rules had never been put in place to defend anybody else.
So she's saying that Trump is basically kissing Jewish people's ass. That's what she's saying right there. That's what she just said. Okay, so now here's what I'll say about the whole Jewish thing, though, Israel specifically, is that I did think it was odd. You remember the Massacre at Garden? Trump's big rally in Madison Square Garden. He did that really big one he did. So that rally was really good. It's probably one of my favorite rallies. But there was a very interesting, throughout that rally, they were really, like Giuliani, very big on protecting Israel. Like it was almost to the point where I even thought it was odd. I'm like they have a lot of, like this whole thing is starting to be like a big like Jewish support thing. Okay. And I'm not saying you shouldn't support, different ethnic groups or whatever. But I'm just saying that it did seem kind of slanted, a little odd. How much,
No, I mean, our
they're
country,
supporting the Jewish people. I thought it was kind of weird.
Our country on both sides of the aisle, Democrats and Republicans. You can see Nancy Pelosi doing it. They have been in line with you. I'm not saying that part is not. I think the anti-Semitism it goes too far sometimes. I agree with her on that.
Because everything's
I'm just saying that what is actually going on.
I will say also that when I say I'm America First person, I really mean that. I actually do have an issue with all the involvement America does. I don't care what president it is. All the involvement with Palestine and Israel. I don't think we should have nothing to do with any of that stuff. I actually believe we just should not even get involved with whatever's going on there. I don't agree with Trump wanting to rebuild the Gaza Strip. I don't want none of that. Okay, I don't think we should be getting involved in that way. That's just my personal, I do disagree with Trump's administration on that whole part of it. I don't agree with that at all. But with the Candace thing specifically, I disagree with her more than I agree with her.
It's
on
her
this.
intent that bothers me. It's not what she's actually saying. Yeah. It's just
the intent is kind of
this sort of back and forth. Like I feel like sometimes, look, and I could be wrong. I just feel like sometimes she wants war.
Yeah.
with people.
Well, she likes the.
She
yeah.
likes it. Like she likes this. Like she loves to get into the fire and start getting into arguments with people, and then doesn't let it go. Like she just keeps going and going and going, and you know what I mean. It's just like, yeah, okay, you're right, Candace. Stop beating the horse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. It's like she can win, and then she just keeps beating the horse, and it's just so she can just keep winning or something. You know what I mean? With something she's already won, and it's just like, yeah, I get it. Okay, it's just that I don't know. Sometimes with her, I feel that she's got
the Palestine supporters are all innocent either, guys.
And the way she does things sometimes. You know what I mean? I think she's right, but I also think that sometimes she just, again, I just feel like sometimes she just beats the horse too long.
And I think a lot of it has to do with that federal funding. He's able to limit a lot. People, if you're on federal anything, you can limit a lot. You can make, look, you can't buy certain sodas at, you know, like when you get federal funding like food stamps, they tell you what you can and cannot do, and you're supposed to comply, and they do.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's linked this to the federal funding, she's saying that he's trying to do it under the guise of DEI. But yeah, if you guys know more about this, let us know. We would like to hear more about it. I like Candace, but I think she's a little wrong.
Candace. I mean, but I'm like the same thing with Jimmy Dore and all these places where they're slanted. I have to look more into it. I don't just take gospel on everything Jimmy Dore, because Jimmy Dore is very emotional when it comes to you know, liberal stuff. And even though I like him, there is sometimes he just gets a little too emotional on things that I don't agree with, or it's he'll make a thumbnail and it'll be like, come on, Jimmy, I got to go into it. Right. I like you, but come on. It's the same thing with Candace. It's just like, and anybody.
It should be the same thing with us.
And with us, it should be anybody. You should look into it, because let me tell you, all the time. You know, things sway. People can sway you into thinking a certain way. You know what I mean? And you know, again, you believe me, we should probably all be reading more books. I mean, Daniel and I were reading Mark Dice's book, the
War on Conservatism.
And he talks a lot about you know, the Jewish problem, and about, you know,
it's legit.
DEI, and it's all legit.
It's
and
legit,
I think that we you know, it is better to look into things more. And so I agree with her on a lot of things, but then I sometimes when it comes to
this anti-Semitic stuff, I can't.
You know, her slant and the way she feels about Jewish people, sometimes like, okay, but you know, look into it. Don't just look at her and start thinking, oh yeah, she's so charismatic and funny. And then you just take what she's saying and don't even really look it up.
So the liberals love her right now because she's saying something against Trump. Oh, okay. So the liberals are very excited right now and they're like, oh, we should have told you. We told you that Trump was. Yeah. You know, I'm like, no, I haven't
watched her in quite a while, so I don't really know what's going on with her. I know she left the Daily Wire and she's got her own show and she's doing well. You know what I mean? I know that, but I don't watch her all the time because she talks a lot about you know, celebrity stuff, and I don't care about celebrities. So you know, there's that.
That's our small take.
That's my small take on it. I don't know.
All right, you guys. We'll see you guys in the next video.